Hey guys, so I wanted to share my ideas with how to spread TempleOS on some actual physical hardware. I have an Atari, which was pretty interesting around the time it came out, around the same time as the Commodore 64, which Terry Davis said he kind of based a lot of TempleOS's programming off of the good old days of programming with the Commodore 64. This is actually a British version because I bought the wrong one on eBay, but I do have a cable for it to actually use it on American televisions, which is good. That was a story in itself and a pain that made me look stupid when and extended my time before I got to actually code on this thing. And if you're wondering how you code on these things, if you're kind of a new coder or if you're a younger person just getting into these things, well, you would use a cassette recorder because, before disk drives came out, this is basically what everybody had, and they recorded programs on. So it would literally make sounds, and you would record it on a cassette, and you'd get cassette tapes, and that's how you would program. So I don't think we should use cassettes because most people probably nowadays use USB drives. So if we're going to do some kind of, and I'm thinking to make this system, we make it either 3D print it or try and work with some companies who do plastic moldings. I've tried to do my own plastic molds before, and it's hard. So to say the least, actually, here I have. So this hunk of plastic here. This was my first attempt ever at trying to make a plastic mold, and I wanted to try and make a wrist. What is this thing? From Fallout, the Pip-Boy, and this is kind of how far I got with it. I was gonna try and carve a space from my phone into it. It's not very comfortable, so I put this cloth fiber that I found into it, but it's falling out because I haven't touched this thing in a long time. But I was gonna put my phone on here. That didn't work out so well. But I have a better plan for the TempleOS machine, and that is to pay someone who knows what they're doing. And that's going to probably be the biggest expense of it. And then I could even just get a normal PC case, but I kind of want to try and keep this true to what Terry envisioned for the operating system. So I'm going to try and copy something in between a Commodore 64 and a Texas Instrument home computer, right? So the cool thing about the Texas Instruments, the TI-99, most Americans, they know it as Texas Instruments, but really, they made computers. They made all kinds of computers. They made home personal computers, and they got out of that market and just moved into the calculators. So you probably know them from math class, but they did used to make home computers, and this one had what was really cool about it was the cartridge built in, and it took cartridges, and I don't know if I have the cartridges here to show you, but that was pretty cool. So I want the system that we have to have ports, probably on the side here, obviously for power. We'll have some kind of Raspberry Pi inside, loaded with TempleOS. These keys will all have to be 3D printed individually and then molded into fit into the mold that we would make here. And the plugs, I'm thinking HDMI, just because that's what most people have, but I know there is a higher definition one. I'm not sure if we're going to need that, but so HDMI, casing, keyboard, loaded up with the Raspberry Pi with a TempleOS, and then what do? I mean, we have basically a home system. Did I mention USBs? Yeah, so I wanted to have also USB 3s, so that we could potentially load programs rather than having cartridges, which would be probably tricky without an economy of scale, and cassettes, which are kind of nowadays hard to get hold of. We could use floppy disks, but we'll have to see. We'll have to mess. I'm leaning towards USB 3, so we can easily communicate. Between different systems if we want to load different programs. It's easy to get a program onto a USB stick. So we'll see. We'll ask the council. That's maybe one of the questions we need to resolve in the council, but I wanted to give a quick overview of some of these different systems. And once we get an actual piece of hardware with TempleOS that we can distribute easily, then I'm going to try and give them away to as many of my viewers as I can, just so we can study in TempleOS. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Go in peace.